Good evening, Guyana. A good evening to the diaspora. Those of you who are joining us on Facebook, good evening to you. Those folks who are joining us on Twitter, a good evening to you guys. And our friends joining us on YouTube at Cheryl Duncan on YouTube as well, and all across Facebook at Cheryl Avery Duncan as well, my Facebook page. A good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome in the ring. Let's fight, folks. We got quite a few things to discuss this evening. And as you know, I love to wait until quite a few of you are here for us to fight. Because I'm not going to fight with myself. I ain't that crazy yet, you know. I ain't gone so far yet. That's an extreme level, folks. An extreme level for our folks on Twitter, especially. Guys, I'm watching the Twitter following grow, the Twitter viewership grow. And I want to thank each and every one of you on Twitter who keeps coming on by the scores, liking and resharing, making your comments. Those folks who are picking us up on YouTube as well. I'm very, very heartened that the channel is picking up on YouTube as well. People are commenting. And so forth. And you know, our Facebook folks, our Facebook ringsiders have been with us from day one, since we was nothing. Now we something, folks. We out here. So we're going to invite you guys to retweet, to subscribe, to share, to reshare. We are here for you guys. We are here for you guys. I want to get right into the issues I want to discuss this evening, but I'm waiting on some other folks because, listen, folks, I never repeat myself. I want somebody call me after the show and say, what did you discuss tonight? What was in the hot topics? Who didn't you say good night to this evening? Who was up close with you? Folks, I want to see you guys at the ringside. We're going to have a couple of folks in the ring dropping by. And we got quite a few things to talk about. I see some sad faces already. I don't understand why. In spite of it all, we got to keep our shoulders high. We got to keep our shoulders square. We got to keep our head high, or our head square and our shoulders high, whichever one suits you. And we got to keep pressing forward, folks, wherever life finds you this evening. I hope life finds you in a real strong place and you're doing well. You've had a good day at work and you're now settling into the evening. And that is why I'm here, folks. I might have an inauguration ball to attend to. So I came dressed for the occasion, just in case I want to slip over on that side to that inauguration ball. Is me people in power now, you know, it's we in power. Yeah, I know that. Who vex? Who vex? It's we in power now, is the Democrats. So I might have a few places to go this evening. The night is still young. Who knows? Who knows what it holds? It's so nice to see all of you joining us, and I'm waiting for a magic number to reach when I see the viewership is up just where I need it. I'm going to start because, again, I want nobody bother me afterwards. Do not call, do not message, do not text what transpired on the show. If you wanted to be here, you would have been here. And God has ordained exactly who is going to watch this program this evening. So if you didn't see it, just imagine that you didn't miss that, nothing. You will miss nothing. And besides that, folks, you can always come back to the page later on and watch whatever you miss. That's the blessing of social media. You can always come back and rewind and watch at your own pace. Those of you who might be picking us up at your workplace this evening, or faster with you, those of you who are home, your feet up on the couch, you're having some dinner, talking to your loved ones, we are with you guys. Folks, let's fight. Let's fight. Enough with the pleasantries, enough. Let's fight, folks. And by now, you guys know where we are heading, and we have quite a few things to discuss. Quite a few things to discuss. I know some of you probably tagging and sharing now and saying, oh God, let me see who we talking about tonight. Who we talking about tonight? Guyanese people like session, you know. Guyanese people like bacchanal, right? You give them something bland, you give them something, they ain't got time with that, right? And even if it's life-saving, and it is bland, no. They're going to the grave. But you give them a little drama, you give them little tech-ups, right? You give them a little bacchanal, and they're ready. And they are ready. And folks, so are we. So let's fight. First off, we want to say congratulations to the President of the United States, the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden. And he took the oath of office just after lunch today, as the clock struck 12, he became the 46th President of the United States of America. And while he was doing that, I was outside of the American Embassy in Georgetown bidding farewell to Auntie Sarah and also welcoming Uncle Joe. So Uncle Joe took the oath of office around lunch today and became the 46th President of the United States of America. Did you guys watch? I know some of you might be flicking between us here and the inauguration, some segments of it still being streamed live. So again, congratulations to Joseph R. Biden, who became the 46th President of the United States of America. And even with that, the leader of the opposition today as well gave his well wishes to Mr. Biden. And in his very, very brief statement, the leader of the opposition said, on behalf of all Guyanese, I congratulate Joe Biden on being inaugurated the 46th President of the United States of America, and to Kamala Harris as the first woman and first person of color to be vice president. I wish them well during their tenure. Look forward to Guyana and the United States strengthening the unbreakable ties under their presidency and vice presidency, and to America restoring its leadership role in the world, as President Biden committed to during his inspiring inaugural address. And that was a very, very short message from the leader of the opposition, the Right Honorable Joseph Harmon. And as he said there, also the vice president was sworn in. And so congratulations to her, Kamala Harris, becoming, as the leader of the opposition, Joseph Harmon, said, the first woman of color, the first person of color, and the first woman to be vice president. So history making all around, folks. History making all around. And isn't it an inspiring story that Kamala Harris has her roots in the Caribbean? I think her father came from Jamaica and her mother came from India. So she has one foot in the Caribbean and one foot in the North America. One foot in South America, in the Caribbean, and one foot in North America. So congratulations to Kamala Harris. And no sooner was President Biden's sworn in. Y'all know some people like big friends. Some people like let you know that they know people. No sooner was President Biden sworn in, some people were trying to make friends. Auntie Sarah was trying to make friends. This is the same Auntie Sarah that since November 3rd, when Biden won the presidency definitively in the United States of America, refused to congratulate the president-elect. Refused to congratulate the president-elect. Right? Refused to call out the Republican leadership and the president then, Mr. Trump, for trying to rig the American election. But today, the American ambassador, Sarah Lynch, was there trying to make friends. And I want to give you some of her comments as she was trying to make friends. Let me read it for you. She says, in my inaugural flight to Guyana in March 2019, I was congratulated by President Biden as we flew together on the first leg of my journey. Today, it is my honor to congratulate him on becoming the 46th President of the United States. I look forward to continued conversations with the Biden administration about building ever stronger U.S.-Guyana relations. Ambassador Sarah Lynch. So this was Auntie Sarah's moment trying to make friends. But folks, what Auntie Sarah didn't know was I know people too. Now do Auntie Sarah, I know people too. And I could name drop as well. Right? So I had to put out my own statement on social media as well. Because if Auntie Sarah name dropping, I name dropping too, who I know. So I said on social media, I remember that one time Joe and I were on the same flight in 2019. I told him I was concerned about the then incoming US ambassador to Guyana. Miss Spirit just didn't take the ambassador. Joe said it was a mistake. The ambassador was actually to go to Ghana. Today, it is my honor to congratulate him on becoming the 46th President of the United States. I look forward to an investigation of the ambassador and her questionable conduct in the March 2nd, 2020 general and regional elections in Guyana. And I look forward to the Biden administration building strong U.S.-Guyana relations as soon as the ambassador beat out. So those were my my preliminary comments on Joe Biden becoming the 46th president of the United States. And this was, of course, just after the U.S. ambassador was touting that she knew Joe Biden from a flight in 2019. It might have been that we were on the same flight. I'm not quite certain. It just might have been that we were both on that very, very same flight. Just might be. Folks, as we move along, I told you last evening of Jimmy James. Last evening we spoke about Jimmy James, and Jimmy James is the Region 8 councillor who is supposed to be sworn in with the Region 8 RDC. It has been 6 months now since the declaration of the March 2nd regional and general elections, and the Region 8 Regional Democratic Council has not been sworn in. 4 members from the 50-man council represent the APNU AFC, 4 represents the PPP, and Mr. James represents the Liberty and Justice Party. And there is a feeling that Mr. James might be more leaning to APNU AFC in terms of how we may vote in the future. And this is why the PPP has refused to swear in Mr. James. But that is not where the story gets interesting. Where the story gets interesting is that they recently said, and I picked this up in a Sabbath News article quite recently, that Mr. James was no longer interested in serving as a councillor due to ill health. He was holding his health above serving, and who could blame him for that? The only thing that was wrong with that is that Mr. James came out subsequently and said that they were telling lies on him. The PPP and the Liberty and Justice Party were deceitful, liar, treacherous, and you name it. They were telling lies on him, that he was still interested in serving should he be given the opportunity. As a matter of fact, Jimmy posted a picture of him doing some work that very same day. And this was the picture that was sent. Here is Jimmy, who the PPP and the Liberty and Justice Party says was ill and could not be sworn in as a councillor, was no longer interested in the job. Jimmy said, I am strong as an ox. I am strong as an ox, and I'm still very interested in serving as a regional democratic councillor for Region 8. Folks, only in Guyana. Only in Guyana. There you have it. Mr. James publishing this photograph that he's fetching a whole quote-unquote backpack with a lot of pumpkins in it, demonstrating that he is not ill one bit. He is going about his daily life as per normal, engaging his daily chores. So again, Jimmy is not ill. Folks, as we were coming on this evening, we saw this and we had to share it with you. There were 4 young women who were brought before the courts on charges that were instituted on behalf of the Ethnic Relations Commission. And the story reads that several persons who made racially insensitive comments posted on social media, resulting in racial and ethnic violence among the Guyanese people, have been charged for the offense. They were each ordered to pay a fine of $100,000. The only thing with this story is that it seems as though there's only one set of people being charged. These were the names of the persons charged, folks. The charges were brought against them by the Ethnic Relations Commission. Those charged are Tiffany Green, LaShonda Chester, Stacy Smart, and Glennis Gibson. Again, those names are Tiffany Green, LaShonda Chester, Stacy Smart, and Glennis Gibson. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I remembered some people, for instance, like Auntie Sucky, during the election campaign, spewing a whole host of vitriol, right? Making a whole host of vitriolic statements that definitely and definitively would have gone and resulted in racial and ethnic violence among the Guyanese people. So why isn't Auntie Sucky, for instance, before the court and paying a fine of $100,000? And folks, least we forget there was also, if my mind is clear and I have not advanced in age too much and suffering from Alzheimer's, there was also 𝗁𝗵𝗴 𝗧𝗵𝗵 or 𝗁𝗵𝗴 𝗧𝗵𝗵, who again, in her own way, had a lot of racial comments to make on social media. So when will 𝗁𝗵𝗴 𝗧𝗵𝗵 have her day in court? And when will Auntie Sucky have her day in court? And then there was also critics. Critics. Now, I'll be the first to admit, folks, critics do make the world a better place. But when it's critics having his day in court for the things that he has said that have stirred up people racially, very, very interesting. And so again, the persons who were charged recently and are paying this $100,000 fine individually, they are Tiffany Green, LaShonda Chester, Stacey Smart, and Glennis Gibson. Those are the folks. In other news, Department of Public Information. The first thing you learn when you work for a news organization is that you report the news and you do not become the news. You report the news and you do not become the news. Today we are learning that 8 staff members from the Department of Public Information have tested positive for COVID-19. 8 staff members from the Department of Public Information have tested positive for COVID-19. And we have reliable sources who have informed us that these are particular staff who would travel with the president and other government ministers on outreaches. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we have 8 staff members, according to reliable sources, who are now COVID-19 positive. 8 staff members, and these persons do travel with the president and other government ministers on media assignments around the country. We were also made to understand that the Department of Public Information currently is in lockdown mode. It is currently in lockdown mode. And folks, we're going to use this opportunity to remind you and to encourage you to wear your mask, social distance, sanitize, watch the groups that you're liming in, that you are in. You're not supposed to be in groups larger than 10, larger than numbering 10. And even in those groups, you are still supposed to be observing social distance. And all the other protocols that are in place for your health and your safety should be observed. So our thoughts and prayers are with the folks at DPI, and we hope that you guys are getting the best care and that you get well soon. A good night to all, except. A good night to all, except. You guys know how this aspect of this show really gets me riled up and excited. So I'm very interested to see some of the comments that are going to be made. Who do you guys think we are going to honor this evening, quote unquote, honor in this way? A good night to all, except. I see one of my guests has already joined us, and so I'm hastening to conclude this segment and to head to the up close or the close-up segment. Who are we going to honor tonight? A good night to all, except. A good night to all, except. Somebody is saying, Anil. A good night to all, except. Somebody says, Anil. Let me take some of the other comments. Somebody says, Parrot Sarah Lynch. Auntie Sandra says Sarah Lynch. Auntie Sandra says Auntie Sarah. All right. Who else do we have? Uncle Donald. Well, apparently Sarah Lynch is in the overwhelming majority this evening. Auntie Sarah, you are so loved in this country. You are so loved in this country. Everybody picks Auntie Sarah. Well, except 1 and 2. Somebody said, except 19 fraud charges. Somebody says, except Patterson. I don't know who Patterson. That name doesn't ring a bell. Is it Valerie Patterson? Is it the former chairman of GCOM, the former GCOM chair, Justice Patterson. Which Patterson? A good night to all, except. A good night to all, except. All right, without keeping you guys in any more suspense. It's a good night to all, except, and some of you, of course, even a broken clock gets to be right twice a day. Some of you got it right. It's a good night to all, except Auntie Sarah. Of course, folks, I do not have to relitigate and restate why it's a good night to all, except Auntie Sarah. Save and except to say, congratulations to Joe Biden, and we note the conduct, as I said in my statement on social media, we note the conduct of Sarah Lynch before, during, and after the March 2nd general and regional elections, and that we look forward to an investigation of the ambassador and her questionable conduct in the March 2nd, 2020 general and regional elections in Guyana. We look forward to an investigation. Folks, without any further ado, I want to invite my guest for this evening, the one and only Member of Parliament, 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗬𝗵𝗴. MP 𝗪𝗵cie, welcome, sir.
Good night, Shara. Thank you for having me in the ring once more. It's always a pleasure being here, sir.
I am very happy that you are here. And why not let us pick up on the last note. Auntie Sarah, as you know, there's a new administration that has taken the reins of power in the United States of America. And we hope that Auntie Sarah goes with the whole administration as a Trump appointee. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm first of all happy that the leader of the opposition took the opportunity of congratulating President Joe Biden and Vice President Ms. Harris. That's her name, right? And
yes,
I'm also very happy to know that there is a change in the powers that be. I'm extremely happy to know that their power is now going to be controlled by some sane people. So I'm hoping to see a series of changes where the whole aspect of inclusivity, the whole aspect of cohesion, and the whole aspect of developing not only the country, but at least assisting other countries so that they can all climb to higher heights. So I'm very happy for that. And I will also support that there is need for Sarah Ann Lynch to go, because Sarah Ann Lynch intervened in elections of Guyana, and by virtue of her actions, she no longer deserves the respect of Guyanese, and she no longer deserves to be an ambassador to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. We need somebody that is centered on building the relationship between the US and Guyana. We need somebody that is focused on not interfering in our domestic affairs and rather deal with foreign policies and how we handle our foreign relationship with the United States.
Fantastic, fantastic, Ganesh. And of course, again, the conduct of the ambassador has been a serious sore point in our relations with the Americans. And I want to state very, very clearly that we have no issue with the Americans, even except the conduct of Sarah Lynch.
Definitely, and not only her conduct, but that also of the Canadian High Commissioner and the other diplomatic members who really, I would say, intervene in our domestic affair and caused some level of confusion, notwithstanding the fact that we know that there were widespread evidence of corruption in our elections. And that we must take heed to that. And we must recognize that as a democratic sovereign state, we deserve to deal with our issues according to our constitution. And we need to also we also need to recognize that as a sovereign state that is governed by its own laws, its own rules, that we have a system that must be followed, and it should not be intervened, it should not be troubled by any external force. And unfortunately, that is exactly what took place. And we see where that would have taken our country. It created greater division, which is something we did not hope for. It created a whole aspect of uncertainty in our land, and it's unfortunate that the level of progress the country made over a 5 years period was all washed away. Sad indeed. And one has to
And guys,
understand that people.
I think they even went as far. I think they even went as far. In one instance, I saw the Canadian High Commission, Ms. Chatterjee, saying that one of the cases that was taken to court was frivolous. That would be unheard of for an ambassador and high commissioner to step over the bounds of diplomacy and into the local court system. It is unfathomable.
It is our constitutional right to go to court. It is our constitutional right to seek redress in the court system. That is what it is there for. There is that separation of power where the judiciary must be respected, and people's right to go to the judiciary for answer must be respected. And when you as a diplomat will pronounce on a system and will pronounce on a case that is before a court, and to dub it as frivolous, to say the least, is it really leaves much to be desired. Very unfortunate to know a diplomat would go to that length. And it's not only, you see, these things, they cause people to now speculate, and they cause people to now draw conclusions. And the conclusion I would draw and the speculation I would make is that Ms. Chatterjee probably has an interest, a personal interest with the government that they fought to install. And you cannot blame me for making that speculation, or to blame me for that assumption on the basis of the actions of Ms. Chatterjee and others.
And of course, that statement is justified on the context. 𝗪𝗵ощ, I have not had a chance. I don't think I had a chance to talk with you since the ruling on the elections petition case, elections petition case 88, number 88 and number 99. What were your thoughts, or what are your thoughts on that ruling?
I was very shocked, but I did not hear the entire ruling because I was engaged in the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly on the day when the ruling took place. But what I heard is that petition 99 was struck out and petition 88 will be allowed to go through. Petition 88, as I know it, deals with the legal ramifications of Order 60 of 2020, and petition 99 focuses on the evidence. It's more an evidence-based petition that deals with all the skullduggery, all the fraud, all the irregularities, all the anomalies, all the abnormalities. And I was deeply disturbed to know that Guyana will not be, well, I shouldn't say will not, Guyana at the level of the High Court currently will not be able to know definitively what happened on election day, in elections March 2020. That is very sad. The country wants to know what happened. And to just struck out such an important case on the base of a simple technicality, and not only a technicality, it's a technicality that was addressed, because there is an affidavit that was filed to say that the service to President Granger was done correctly. There are room for error. We are human beings. We are not robots. And even robots, they make mistakes, because robots have to operate on the instructions of human beings. So we all are subject to mistakes. The question is the magnitude of the mistake. Would that have hindered the case? Would that have caused the case to be faulty in pronouncing it? A simple service. If you have to get a letter at 12 o'clock and you got it at 12:05, that is what you're concluding is the basis of removing an entire elections petition, especially in the public's interest, knowing that this is not just any petition. This is a petition that was filed after the country went through a 5 months period of horror, a 5 months period of terror, a 5 months period that included 33 days of a national recount, something that never happened before in our country, a 5 months period where we reopened the ballot boxes after it was sealed, not knowing who the president would be, a 5 month period where we did an audit of an election before the president was declared. On that basis, you made that decision. It is very, very appalling, to say the least, and I'm deeply disturbed. But I support the move to file an appeal, and as a democratic country with civil people that has matured over the years, we will have to respect the ruling, even though we don't agree with it, and we will have to respect the ruling, even though we don't agree with it, and we will have to go forward with the structure that is in place, and that is to file an appeal and seek redress at higher courts.
Great. Ganesh, I know you are part of the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly, and the Public Accounts Committee's work is critical in terms of supervising the spending of government, in addition to other areas, but largely regarding how government finances are spent. How has that committee been progressing? Because we know that is one of the committees they were trying very hard not to have constituted.
Yes, well, the work at the Public Accounts Committee is going on. Currently, we have examined, I think, 3 or 4 agencies thus far, and perhaps the most troubling agency is the Ministry of Public Works. And I want our listeners to understand that there was certain information that came out from today's sitting of the Public Accounts Committee.
Ganesh,
that
just
is very, very
before you go there, because I want them to understand undistracted, let us welcome Member of Parliament, 𝗁𝗓 𝗓𝗏. 𝗁𝗓, welcome.
Good night, guys.
Ganesh was just telling us about a troubling episode that took place in the Public Accounts Committee just today, and I think you were a part of that committee as well. Ganesh?
Yes, I was saying that some facts came out today at the Public Accounts Committee that was very, very shocking, and it has to do with the highway improvement of the East Coast Demerara Road project. And what we found out is that this highway improvement, this East Coast Demerara Highway Improvement Project, was divided into lots. So there were sections that were given to various contractors for them to execute, and at the end product is a smooth road, a road that we can drive on, and a road that we can enjoy. And that has happened. We do have a good road there to drive on. But what is shocking is that if you look at Lot 3, and I have the Auditor General's report in front of me here, which I wish to quote from. It says that for Lot 3, a born intention to better go acting, preparatory works for that lot was awarded in the sum of $349,007,000. And this award was done in February of 2013. Hear me good, Sherrod. February of 2013, this award was given for $349,007,000 Guyana dollars. In March of 2013, 1 month after, and I don't have the exact date, so I don't know if it's precisely 1 month after, but for the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to accept that it is 1 month after. They revisited the contract, and they did some variation, and they altered the contract. When they altered the contract, the work was the money that was supposed to pay for the work. In fact, Sherrod, permit me to read exactly what I'm saying here concerning this this whole project.
Go right ahead.
Permit me to
have valid and credible information.
What are the findings of the Auditor General? It says a physical verification carried out on Lot 3, which is labor in intention to 𝗪𝗏 𝗥𝗶, revealed that the works were incomplete, and it was noted that there were changes or variations to the original scope of works. In addition, the following were observed. The site appears to have been abandoned with no equipment or personnel from the contractor on site, while the contract completion date expired on the 17th of June 2015. And at the time of reporting, the position remained the same. The contractor received 3 advance payments totaling $264,123,000, which represents 76% of the contract sum, while the contract only allows for an advance payment of 50%. So the
It's on the
contract that
PPP.
was signed allowed for 50%, and they paid the contractor an advance payment of 76%. Yes, this was the PPP administration in 2013. This is a breach of contract where the contractor was paid advances greater than that which is allowed for under the contract. And at the time of reporting, a valuation of works completed was $157,663,000. However, the actual payments made to the contractor totaled $278,346,000. Therefore, the contractor received excess payment totaling $120 million. The balance, the contractor has since repaid the sum of $10,683,000 on the 28th of December 2016, with the balance of $110 million still to be recovered. To
Oh, wow.
date,
How much?
to date,
100 what?
to date,
10
that
million?
contractor still has $110 million outstanding to the state. And that is because in 2013, that contractor was paid the excess amount. But it does not only appear such for that part. When you go to 𝗪𝗏 𝗥𝗶 to Triumph, Lot 4, it says at the time of reporting, the work at Lot 4 were incomplete and the site appears to be abandoned. Also, the following were observed. The contractor received 3 advance payments of $209,603,000, representing 65% of the contract sum, while the contract only allows for an advance payment of 50%. This is in
Wow.
breach of the contract where the contractor was paid advances greater than that which is allowed for under the contract. Further, the contractor submitted only 1 advance bond for the first advance payment of $174,504,000. The bond expired since 2014. No bond was seen for the second balance payment issued to the contractor. At the time of
Interesting.
reporting, valuation of the work completed was $76,954,000. However, the actual payment made to the contractor amounted to
Interesting.
$209,603,000. Therefore, the contractor received excess payment totaling $132,649,000 at the time of the physical verification. The contractor has since repaid the sum of $10,649,000
Yes.
on the 28th of December 2016, leaving the balance of $122 million still to be recovered.
Oh,
To
wow.
date, that
Wow.
money has not been paid. So we're talking about 2 contractors, just two
Yeah. So far.
contractors owing
So far.
the Chinese people in excess of $232 million.
And
but it
Ganesh,
doesn't
you know who,
say where.
Ganesh and Jurita, do you know who gets sought after? People who owe a little 200,000 gonna get fired quick. Somebody who owe 10,000 gonna get their name splashed across some newspaper. But the people who owe the hundreds of millions of dollars go scot-free all the time. Ganesh, there was an exchange in the Public Accounts Committee today. I want us to take a listen to it and you to frame it for us as to what transpired there. Let's take a listen. We come back on the other side and we pull Ms. Finance, Member of Parliament, into the
Into this
conversation.
country before February, and that is not in no report that we have. No Auditor General report, no other report, no paper that we have here. That was mentioned in. So it's not a case where we have to read it back to remember. He vividly said that no report came, no scale came in this country before February of 2017. But he's not remembering matters of serious importance where millions of dollars were spent, where millions of dollars he signed on to, contracts that he signed on to without dates and other information, witnesses and the like. He can't remember that. I would like to put that on record, sir. Into this country
So, folks,
before February, and that is not
what
no
transpired there?
report that we have.
I didn't know that you were there on
Memory now.
videoing. The issue there has to do with the
Ganesh, we keep saying to folks, we do our homework here in the ring and we present valid, credible information to the Guyanese people. Go ahead, sir.
The issue there has to do with the former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Public Works, Mr. Balram, if I got the name correct there, Jureta. And
That's the name.
Mr. Balram was the person who signed on to the contract with reference to these very roads that I am speaking to you on. And he even signed on some contracts where there are no dates to the contract, where there
Oh,
are
wow.
no numbers to the contracts, where there are no witnesses to the contracts. He really did a terrible job at the
Oh,
Ministry
wow.
of Public Works, if I'm allowed to put it that way. And he was questioned today pertaining to those actions. And his simple answer was, I cannot recall, I cannot recall, I cannot recall. But then we also found that there were three scales, three motion sensing scale, I think you call it, that were bought by the ministry. He also signed to that, and the scales never arrived in the country up until some date later. And when he was asked when the scales came, he said the scales came after February of 2017. So I was making the point, how can you remember that? How do you remember that clearly, but you can't remember signing away hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to contractors? How can't you remember that? And you're coming before this Public Accounts Committee where you have to give an account for your actions, and your simple response is you cannot recall because you are you are old, so to speak, if I may use that word, or you're advanced in age. Instead of saying old, you're advanced in age, and you have lost your memory in terms of remembering stuff that occurred 5 or 6 years back. But you remember clearly about the scales. So I found it very
Selective
strange.
retention.
I
Selective
had to
retention.
put on that it's unacceptable in my eyes.
Very well, very well. Jurita, from your own point of view, how is the Public Accounts Committee business going? And then I want to pick your brain on the incoming Biden administration.
Public Accounts Committee, Sherrod, I mean, we can give a lot of light on it, but truth is that when we went into the very first meeting when we were looking to schedule the agencies to come before the committee, it was our view that we can examine the years, like 3 years together, 2016, 2017, 2018, together, as it was done several times before. It was done in the last PAC, the one before that, and all of that. This is not like it is something new that they have never done. But I can tell you that the PP is bent on dragging the work of the Public Accounts Committee, and that is by every indication thus far. And because of that, now we're just looking at 2016 Audit General's report, and that's quite sad because what's happening is that we have these we have these agencies, the financial person responsible for the agencies coming before us, and when we could have been questioning them on the reports for 2016, 17, and 18 at once, just doing it in a simultaneous matter so that we can just have everything in check in the most efficient way in terms of resources used at the time, and more importantly, the time that we are taking to get it done. We have to slowly go through it because we could not get the PP on board for us to proceed in that matter, in that manner. Now, what I can say today with Mr. 𝗪𝗵 is that it just goes, I'm not really the shouting person. I try not to as much as I could, but I think it really got on my skin today that you are, as the accounting officer at the time in question, believe that you can come to the Public Accounts Committee and just say, well, I can't remember. It's a precedent that we cannot set at all, and we cannot accept it. It's that simple. And there's a whole lot of things that were in question. I don't even know if Mr. Michael actually just mentioned one of them, that the contracts were signed on to without having witnesses and all of those things. And Mr. 𝗪𝗵 basically said that he can't remember why that was done. These are things that he would have signed on to. His signature is affixed to the bottom, but yet he can't remember why there were no witnesses signing to these agreements and so forth. On basically, what he was his position was whatever is printed in the Audit General report as all he knows, which was basically unacceptable.
Yeah.
Mr. Michael pointed out, you can remember that something didn't come when you were there, but you can't remember anything else. And it's crazy
And that was not written in the Auditor General's report. What would the
yes,
scale? It wasn't written in the Auditor General report, but he remembered
correct.
that.
Conveniently.
Yeah, but we have that matter was completely exhausted. I can tell you that particular paragraph when looking at that report, and uh, we were able to complete the Ministry of Public Infrastructure 2016 report today. Well, that was an achievement. So we will be able to further move on with other agencies coming Monday. What I can say is that we need to aggressively go through these reports, not missing any of the major issues that may have arisen. But what is startling is because this is my first time on the
Audio.
PA Parliament altogether. And what I can say is that I'm not just going to pick up the 2016 report and look at it without also perusing other Audit General reports. So I have a practice of just having several years open on my computer when I'm in there, and what you will see, Shara, that there are certain trends that you can pick up in the various ministries, these accounting agencies, and so forth, that it's consistent throughout the years. What is startling, what I can tell you, is that PPP would seek to make an issue out of something that they have perfected the art of over the years. It is most ridiculous, and I can tell you, I can give you one such instance in which they were making an issue over some advances being paid, with some amounts over the percentage that it was supposed to be paid. And the question was that if it was ever done before. And I was told, well, basically they can't remember if it was ever done before. But like I said, I have these documents
And
that I peruse.
the people with the missing millions aren't an issue. But I'm happy that you guys are there and you're keeping their feet to the fire for transparency, for open governance, for good governance via the Public Accounts Committee. Your thoughts, Rita, on this incoming Biden administration? I was picking Ganesh's brain earlier on the subject matter.
Well, I believe, well, the majority of Guyanese and the Caribbean as a whole, I think everyone was had exhausted all their patience with the majority of people had exhausted their patience with the Trump administration. I know I particularly it was a breath of fresh air to watch as Biden took the oath and as Trump left. It's like it cannot it is something that we need to embrace the change in what was done there, the way in which the US was able to overcome the the actions by Mr. Trump after the election. All that he did, we know that it resembled the actions so much of people that we don't want in leadership. Basically, the Biden administration, the Harris administration, what I can say about them is that they have put forward their plan, their cabinet all together, the way in which it is structured. I know Biden would have made a bold statement earlier and said that he wanted his cabinet to reflect America, and he has carefully crafted it in such a manner and a representation that he have in cabinet is something that he believes, and I believe also represents what America is and what America stands for. And I have full confidence in the administration. I look forward to for Guyana and the U.S. to build stronger ties and to repair all the damages that were done under the Trump administration, all the divisiveness that was put into Guyanese when it comes to the representation that the Trump administration would have had in Guyana over time. So I'm very, very happy about today. I could not wait for it to happen. I have been waiting since January 1st for January 20th so that we can just get this day over with. And a lot of persons are anxious to see if anything would have out the way would have been happening and so it went smoothly. And we're very, very happy and congratulations, Biden Harris administration.
Fantastic. Ganesh, I want to pick your brain on one of the subject matter that I raised early on in the program in our hot topic segment. Mr. Jimmy James from Region 8, Regional Democratic Council. The fact that the council has not been sworn in since the declaration of the August 2nd general and regional elections results. Why is this RDC sworn in as yet, and why is the PPP lying on Jimmy James?
What is happening in the local government ministry is very
it's Judith's neighbors. Go ahead, Ganesh.
What is happening in the local government ministry is very damning. And it is a great travesty on this democracy to know that you're trampling on the rights of people of Region 8. The people of Region 8 voted, and they voted for the coalition in the majority, the PPP second, and the LJP third. But because of the allocation of seats and the manner in which the seats were allocated with the formula that was used, the coalition has 7 seats on the RDC, and the PPP also have 7 seats on the RDC. The one other seat goes to LJP, Liberty and Justice Party. And what the head of the list, or let me break it down differently, Sherrod. We contested in separate elections. We contested in the general elections and in the regional elections. And in the regional elections, people vote for their regional councillors. And in Region 8, majority of the people, or the plurality of the votes, went to the coalition and followed by the PPP and then LJP. APNU AFC, they got 7 seats, PPP got 7 seats, LJP got 1 seat. The gentleman, Jimmy James, his name was extracted from the list that LJP submitted. And 7 names were extracted from the list that the coalition submitted, and 7 names were extracted from the list that the PPP submitted. So we have the councillors elect, like how you had Biden elect and Kamala Harris elect. We have 15 councillors elect on the RDC. Their names are already extracted. Their names are already gazetted. The formality or the ceremonial purpose is yet to be done, which is the swearing in of these officers. They are already elect. There is no way that you could have taken away Joe Biden from being sworn in. There is no way that you could have taken away Kamala Harris from being sworn in. And there is similarly no way that you can take away these 15 councillors from being sworn in. They are councillors elect. But the PPP do not want to facilitate the process of swearing in these councillors because Mr. Jimmy James said that because the APNU AFC won the plurality of votes or the majority of votes, he will vote for an APNU AFC chairperson. That is simply the problem. They want to covetous, if that I could use that word. They want to steal an entire region. They want to steal that entire region, and they did not win the region. The region, by way of plurality of votes, was won by the APNU AFC. And all because Jimmy James said, in the interest of decency, in the interest of morality, I am going to throw my support when the voting time comes for an APNU AFC chairman, because APNU AFC got the majority of votes. The PPP upset. But what is shameful is the head of the LJP and Lennox Schumann, who ran as a purported independent candidate. He is supporting this action of indecent behavior. They are saying that Mr. Jimmy James is sick, that he had the COVID-19 sickness, and that Jimmy James is unable to serve. Well, if you get COVID-19 and you can't serve, therefore Onej Waldron should not be serving. Therefore, the other minister that got the COVID-19, what's his name? Foreign Affairs. He should not be serving. You thought he should not be serving. There is another minister of government that is COVID positive. He also should not. He also should not be serving, because if that is the basis on which you are claiming, but the thing is, this man does not have the COVID. Jimmy James is not sick. Jimmy James made contact with us. Jimmy James put out pictures. Those two pictures you're seeing, those are pictures that were taken yesterday, Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Yesterday, those two pictures were taken. And if that man has COVID and can fetch that amount of weight, I don't want to see him without COVID. These people are ridiculous, Sheriff.
He's going to give the RDC a run for the money.
That's what I'm saying, man. The man is strong, healthy, and he is ready to take his seat, facilitate the process of swearing gentlemen in and all the other RDC councillors, and let there be a regional council, so that we can get the work of the region going. You can't suffer an entire region because of your own ego and your own behavior that is very unfair. It is inhumane, and you are basically suffering an entire region. But that is what is happening in the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. It is run by a zealot minister, a minister that is right now fighting with his very own junior. Anand Prasad give the woman at Pigeon Island the land to go and prepare to hold her, to have her what do you call it? Or shade house. Or shade house where she can sell some plants and make a living. And 2 weeks after that woman spent thousands of dollars, Dharam Lal removed the permission that was granted. Dharam Lal is
humanity.
A set of dictatorial things that are unscrupulous. He is now saying that the overseers of NDCs, they must renew the contract of the SIP workers left and leave out the head of the SIP workers. All team leaders for the SIP workers, their contracts will not be renewed. On what
Wow.
basis? God up in
On the
heaven
basis
knows.
people in their positions, on that basis.
You're causing people to suffer. You're causing people to suffer, and you have no remorse. You have no heart. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. We're living in a country where we're supposed to be championing democracy. We're living
Yeah.
in a country where we're supposed to embrace each other. Our motto is one people, one nation, one destiny. And we continue to do things as a government that is basically biased, unfair, and we are suffering our own
Sufferation.
Guyanese. Fair, it's inhumane, it's dictatorial, it's wicked,
Yeah.
it's demonic, it's
Yeah.
malevolent. Change your
Yeah.
ways, represent
Yeah.
the people, fight for the people, build the
Correct.
country, not your pocket and your friends' pockets. We are suffering as
Very
a
correct.
people. It's hard for me to know that thousands of people were fired, put on the breadline, and then you have a president saying that he's president for all. That's hypocrisy to the highest.
Yeah. Yeah. Folks, we are right at our program time, so I want the final word to go to Ms. Finance, Member of Parliament.
Actually, just want to, I would just wrap up on actually commenting on just what you were speaking with Ganesh with the Region 8. I think it's something that we need to put a lot more emphasis on. I see it as a dangerous game being played by the PPP. It is not something to be taken lightly. It's not just the PPP not wanting to swear in some councillors. It shows the attitude of the minister with the responsibility. It shows the attitude of Mr. 𝗪𝗪, his way and manner of thinking, the dictatorship attitude that he possesses, and we see it every single day. One thing to the next. We cannot have one person that have become so powerful overnight that he believes that he can control what goes on within the region. I can tell you this, it's so serious that these people were brought down. Taxpayers' dollars were spent for those persons to be brought down via plane from Region 8 to Georgetown. The election date was set. They were supposed to have the election, as we all know, at the Georgetown Conference Center. And it did not happen. The persons were sent back up utilizing taxpayers' dollars again because Mr. 𝗪𝗪 could not get the representative from the LJP to elect the PPP's representative as chair, knowing fully well that they did not win the region. And
Yeah.
I think it is completely embarrassing, and it speaks volume to the character of the leader of the LJP that he is condoning such actions at this point, that he is supporting the dictatorship. He is belittling the will of the people and election results in Region 8, and it's something that we cannot just take very lightly. I believe we need to put a whole lot more work into that and to really pressure Mr. 𝗪𝗪 to get his act together, because it's not the first time. Every single day he believes that he's growing in this strength and supernatural power that he has bestowed upon himself, and it's about time that those that's cut down to size, if I must say. But I'll just end by saying that, Sherrod.
Thank you very much, folks. MP Ganesh Mahi, Paul MP, Director Finance, we're going to leave it there this evening. We are happy that you guys had the testicular fortitude and the intellectual aptitude to step into the ring. Thanks for joining us this evening, guys.
Thank you for having me, Sherrod.
Bye.
As we go, folks, we want to continue to advise you, as we did during the program, to observe all of the COVID-19 protocols that are in place for your health and for your safety. You must social distance. You must also wear your mask. Wear your mask, folks. Sanitize. Social distance, sanitize, wear your mask. Do not congregate in crowds larger than numbering 10 persons. It is all for your health and your safety. We want you folks to be around a long time and in the ring or ringside. Ringsiders, a very good evening. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your company. See you tomorrow evening. Do stay safe, guys. Do stay